Oh, welcome back into Studio B in the basement of U92. We are back for another episode of Stirring the Pot. Yes, we're on the airwaves again. No, stop complaining about it. Everybody's here at the table. Dom, John, RJ, Gabe, and myself. Before we get into a loaded college football week and a review, guys, how you doing?
I mean, just wonderful. I'm sure we all enjoyed our fall break. As said last episode, it was much needed. Me and John had a fun trip of golf with Andy. Actually, shout out to Andy. He won in that game. Very good job to you, Andy. But we had a really fun time for fall break. I don't know about you guys. RJ, you were here. Connor, you went. Where did you go again?
I was at my cousin's wedding. Congratulations to the Rimcos and formerly Alicia Bowie. That's my cousin. Congratulations on that very beautiful service. It was nice to get out to Cincinnati. Came back with some party favors, too. Very nice.
Hey, that's fire, man. Where were they alums of?
Miami, Ohio.
Mac representation. Love it. Congratulations to you guys. That's awesome. I will say, though, I basically use it as a get work done weekend, I should say. So, trust me, was not complaining. Got some stuff done. Here at the studio, obviously doing stuff with soccer, and that's always a good time.
Oh, yeah. We did the coverage for the women's Houston game. It was great. Shout out Taylor White. But I think it's time that we talk some football today.
Let's do it.
Yeah. We had a very fun college football week last week. A lot of different games to talk about. But let's go over the games that we covered last week. Hello, Indiana. Kurt Signetti and the Indiana Hoosiers. John is over there having a very fun time because he's called this all year. This team's legit. But in other games, Texas pulled a fast one on an injured John Mateer as he throws 3 picks in a loss, 23-6 to the Longhorns. Bama escaped a late Missouri push, Bo Pribula throwing a very costly interception on the last drive of the game. Ohio State dominated an overranked Illinois. They were overranked all year. We all knew that. But Georgia survived against Auburn in a pretty shaky one, and I think we can all agree Kirby Smart called that timeout. I don't want to hear anything. That's not him clapping. Okay, dude, you're not going to be clapping for that. But before we go into many of the other games, what are your guys' thoughts on our games that we covered from last week?
I was kind of upset because for the Red River rivalry. Of course, you know, John Mateer wasn't fully healthy, and he did make some crucial mistakes in that game, like that one deep ball that he threw that was clearly off target for that interception. But Texas does deserve some credit for that win. Yes, it is Oklahoma. Yes, they have a good defense. Am I going to say that Arch Manning is good yet? No, I'm not even going to say that. The one touchdown that he had in that game, the guy was wide open in blown coverage. He doesn't even, I mean, good job to you, Arch Manning. You really stepped it up. I think he had 166 yards on the game for a 84, I think it was an 84 QBR, if I was correct, as I checked the stats earlier. I don't know. I was deep in the stats. I was checking out people like Fluff Bothwell, too, who did really well last week at Tennessee. Just a quick shot there. But, you know, in order for me to give Arch Manning praise, I'm going to have to see a better, back up this performance. But good job to you, Texas.
I can tell it brought Dom so much pain just to give Texas any drop of credit, given how much he hates them. He watches film to hate. He's reached a new level of hating this year, which is surprising considering he was a hater last year of Drew Heller, who is more on him later. But I want to talk about Indiana for a bit. What a big win for that program and Kurt Signetti. I mean, going on the road to Autzen is a tough place to play. Oregon's been great at home, and I think the big thing for Indiana this game was that D-line is legitimately one of the best in the nation. When you think of good trench teams, you usually think of the SEC, Georgia, Bama, down south, those big guys down there. But Indiana's D-line has been the catalyst of their 2 biggest wins this year. They had 6 sacks against Oregon, which is just great against a tough O-line. They did the same thing against Illinois a couple weeks ago. So a statement win for the program right there. Great to see them getting back on track, and they're going to be more on them the AP poll later, but they're having a generational year right now.
Yeah, shout out to Kurt Signetti and the Indiana Hoosier program. You saw how big of a win that was. I believe it's their first top 5 road win, and I couldn't tell you how long. It's just been forever. Obviously, Indiana being known as a basketball school, and you saw Signetti even get choked up in that interview. I think once he fully realized how big of a win it was for the Indiana program. So a quick shout out to them. That was a really fun game. And I know we talked about our other games. I mean, Bama, Missouri was a great game. Obviously came down to the end. Ty Simpson, Alabama, ultimately getting the win. And then I'll mention my game super quick. I mean, Ohio State took care of business. Was a little slow in that second half, but overall getting the victory, and I think it's what they had to do.
Dude, my game was boring. It was boring. It was 34-17 Texas A&M. Florida didn't have a sack or tackle for loss at all. Texas A&M had nearly 200 yards rushing with one runner over 50 yards. It's boring.
Yeah, it's few and far to come by for one of those really long passing games for a Texas A&M quarterback. Marcel Reed has been very shaky as of late. I've said this a few times, but this A&M team just wins. I don't know how, I don't know why, but they just win.
The offensive line, man.
It's
the
the
offensive
O-line.
line, and there's
It's the
five,
trenches.
and they got a duo of 5'10" transfer wide receivers that somehow get open.
Yep.
They have a player named Le'Veon Moss. That's the most football name ever football
They
in
have
football
a guy
history.
named Casey Conception.
Yeah.
Casey Conception. I'm pretty sure the second. Shout
Yeah,
out.
I think he is the second NC State transfer. But let's get into the rest of college football this week. I'll get into the elephant in the room last because I want to have a little monologue about that. But USC spanked a very fraudulent Michigan team. Thank God, finally. It took somebody long enough. Ole Miss survived a scary game against Wazoo. Like we said, A&M held off Florida. LSU hold off South Carolina as well. And Tennessee scraped past Arkansas. This SEC year has been phenomenal. Even if it's not the underdog teams winning games, they're keeping it very close every week. BYU with some Bear Bachmeier heroics to win it. Colorado and Pitt both knocked off two ranked opponents this week. Utah had their way with Arizona State without Sam Leavitt. That was embarrassing for Arizona State. And USF dropped 63 in their first game back in the rankings. Will they be the group of five bid? I guess we'll see. But the main one, the elephant in the room, Penn State were down by Northwestern this week, their third straight loss, and that led to the eventual firing of 12-year tenured head coach James Franklin, somebody who I hold very near and dear to my heart because of what he did for the Penn State Nittany Lions program. Like I said, 12 years at the helm for Franklin. He took this program over at a very rough time. Obviously, Bill O'Brien was the bridge guy between whatever happened with Paterno and all of that stuff. But James Franklin, everybody in that Penn State community will not say anything negative about him. Such a great guy, great head coach, cared so much about the players in a college football slate and a college football realm that doesn't care about the development of young men. James Franklin is one of those guys who will care about your off-the-field development just as much as your on-the-field development. And that speaks volumes to the landscape of college football right now where schools are spending about $30 million on players now. It's all about the money. This was more about the development of human beings. And I mean, can't say anything bad about James Franklin, but the buyout is crazy. $48 to $50 million is what it's going to be, and it can be fully voided if he finds a paying job that is paying him more than what he got at Penn State. I think that's crazy, but what are your guys' thoughts on Franklin getting fired?
I mean, it's not totally his fault that I was kind of shocked and surprised that they did it like mid-season like this. I kind of thought it was going to be an end-of-season thing, but I guess that Northwestern loss was the last step to take to get fired. Am I going to say it's completely all his fault that Penn State has put out that product that they have been putting out? No. I feel like that has to do with the offensive scheming, and some part Kodo will have to take some blame in for that, as well as Drew Aller. I mean, just the play calling in general, you're not using Katron Allen, probably your best offensive weapon that you have in moments in a game when it really matters, like the Oregon game, overtime, first down, why are you throwing the ball? I mean, they're not using Katron in situations where he should be used, and they paid the price in that whiteout game. They tried to show that Drew Aller was maybe better than what the stats were showing. It just didn't. The stats weren't, and it showed that Drew Aller couldn't perform at the level that people were praising him to be at. And I mean, yes, props to Drew Aller. He is good and he tries his best. But I feel like without Tyler Warren, there's just been this hole in this Penn State offense that Drew Aller doesn't have chemistry with a guy like he did with Tyler Warren. But overall, James Franklin, really good coach, and it's unfortunate to see that this era of Penn State is over. Well, I don't know about me, but for other people.
I understand James Franklin meant a lot to a lot of Penn State fans. Obviously, they had that chaotic end to Paterno's tenure, and him kind of being the guy to stabilize that program meant a lot. But at the end of the day, it kind of Penn State felt like every year felt the same. It felt like there are a lot of games like that Oregon game we saw a couple weeks ago where they're in the game to the end, they just can't pull it out against these upper echelon teams, and then you have 2 disastrous losses in a row. And I mean, I'm very surprised that they did it mid-season, especially for a guy who's very revered in that area. Because he's been there for so long, because he kind of stabilized the program, but it felt like it was just kind of like this era of Penn State football hasn't been working, so it kind of felt like it made sense to get rid of him, and they're going to have to find a guy who can get them back on track because they have a big new deal with Adidas right now. They're going to get a lot of money right there. There's been tweets saying that Adidas wants to make them their flagship program, so the NIL money might be coming in there pretty fast, but going to be interesting to see who they replace him with. Going to be a fun topic of conversation for the next couple months for Penn State.
Yeah, I think especially being a fan of a fellow Big Ten program and watching just how Penn State had that rise, especially you saw Bill O'Brien first taking over after the whole situation in Penn State, and then James Franklin coming out of Vanderbilt. What he did, and especially coming off of sanctions, arguably will never happen again. And I think he deserves all that credit in the world for that. And Connor, I love how you mentioned that, bringing up the young men at Penn State. I mean, you saw a lot of talent come out of there. And I think Reese Davis actually said this really well. I was watching his College Game Day podcast with him. It's Pete Thamel and Dan, I believe. And he was kind of talking about, like, there wasn't really a question now in college football of, can you obviously bring up your team, bring up these young men and get them ready for the real world. But, I mean, as much as it pains everybody to say this, it's going to be winning first. And I think, unfortunately, that's why Penn State took this idea. And I think James Franklin even was like, let's push all the chips into the table. This is probably one of the best rosters we have had since I've been the head coach here. I mean, I'm not saying he said this word for word, but probably an idea. And I think all the chips were pushed in. And obviously that Oregon game, I mean, it's a tough loss. I mean, that's not why he got fired. I mean, let's just put it out there. It's kind of the response of that, and I think Penn State was thinking about it, and the athletic director just said, at what point do we have to take the blow now? I mean, obviously have the recruits decommitting, but then obviously be able to build it back up. I think that's why you kind of take that midseason blow. And the thing about his contract you mentioned, which is interesting, if he doesn't make more than $8 million, I think Penn State owes the difference throughout the remainder of that contract. So honestly, if you look at it year by year, the blow could have been way worse if he decided to, take it in like a 3-year sum. But I think overall, just for the firing, I think it's really tough for the Penn State program. Even seeing players like Trace McSorley come out and just say what James Franklin meant to them. And I think it just showed how, at least from a people's perspective, he did not fail.
Yeah, it's interesting as always. I feel like for me, the firing, I felt like it could have came at the end of the year, get someone in there, maybe get their own players. Because you're going to see a lot of decommits, you're going to see a lot of this and that within the transfer portal, within the high school realm. But the whole point of a coach, man, is yes, you want to identify yourself off 2 things: your athletes and, of course, your program. And I feel like the word program isn't used enough. When we think about program and what you want to build, program for me isn't just a school. I think that gets tossed around. A program is your culture, the way you do things, the way you win. Are you a winning culture or are you a losing culture? I feel like Penn State was a plateau, if that makes sense. They did the right thing. I love the hire coming in. I have always been a big thing on we are going to hire these head coaches, give them a shot from these smaller schools because they seem to work out more times than not. One of the big examples is Coach K for basketball came from a service academy with almost a losing record and came and made a powerhouse at Duke. But I think with Franklin, I'm so high on coaches with that character, the building up that person instead of that athlete, because it's student-athlete. Student is always first in that phrase. And I think for him it was a mutual thing that was going to eventually happen sooner or later. But I think the program plateaued, and plateauing is as bad as losing. Steelers are in it right now, and that's the prime example in the NFL. The plateau is not what you want. Ohio State's winning championships. Day was on the chopping block. He's winning championships. Franklin hasn't really come close to winning championships in all the ways. And I do agree with, I kind of forget who said it, but this is, on paper, one of his best teams. Offensively. Defensively, no. Offensively, yes. Yeah. You have a quarterback with a so-and-so tool set, and you weren't getting any progress with him. You weren't getting progress with your 2 big running backs. It's a plateau that needed to be fixed.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't necessarily agree with the firing, at least this early. I mean, I've been keeping up a lot with college football media. John knows I listen to a lot of Joel Klatt. I think he has a lot of good takes, but a topic that we're going to be talking about within the next few weeks, because there's probably going to be more firings happening with this current era of college football and all the transfer portal and all of this stuff going around with NIL money. You have to, with the expanded playoff, you have to kind of accept that there's this dead season. You can have a dead season now. Now, with the old teams, there was no leeway for any of that. If you have that money, say you're like a big program and you lose 3 games early in the season like Penn State, the season's dead pretty much. And you have to kind of accept that. But if you have a quality head coach like a James Franklin in this scenario, do you run the risk of having your program completely go downhill, or do you wait until next season? Do you wait to see if anything improves? And with the NIL money that's going around and with the national poll that Penn State has for a lot of these recruits, especially for running backs and linebackers, you have to kind of think maybe there's going to be a down year in there. And sometimes when you lose a lot of players, say Penn State's going to lose a lot of players to the draft and a lot of players to graduation next year, there's potential for another dead season there too. And I mean, it's such hogwash right now that it's an ever-changing landscape in college football. But
can you please tell me what that means?
Yeah, it's a very changing landscape in college football, but there's going to be a dead season here or there. I feel like that's just the norm now.
I'm not really sure I agree with that. I kind of feel like in this realm, you can go out and you can win. Like, obviously, it can happen. It's okay if it happens. But I also feel like, in this NIL portal era, you can go out and reset pretty fast as a team, especially if you have a good NIL facility and a good program to develop players. I think that depends a lot on who they get as a coach, how much pull they're going to have, really. But I think you can turn it around a lot faster than you think right now.
Well, here's the thing. For that transfer portal, especially for NIL money, obviously you need a coach with a proven track record, that, especially for a bigger program, if you're bringing in one of these smaller coaches, you need a guy that the players can relate to, kind of almost like with JMU and their rise. And then you can almost use Indiana for that example. But I think in Penn State's case, I'll make this point really quick. I think if you can have that dead year instead of just plateauing with what you've seen every year the past 12 years, I think you sometimes can take that risk, because if it pays off, it could get you a national championship.
Exactly. That's where I was trying to go with that you have to kind of take the bad with the good. And the fact that you have a heavily recruiting head coach, you can just kind of see that happening. The dead year is gone, and just leave it in the past, focus on the future, and just try to build for next season. But let's get into some talk about the AP poll. Then we'll do our players of the week, because this AP poll is really interesting. There's a lot of different teams in a lot of different places. This is going to be fun. Number 1, Ohio State. Number 2, Miami are in these same spots. But number 3, is this college basketball? The Indiana Hoosiers are the 3rd-ranked team in the nation, and they have 3 first-place votes. Did we think this was going to happen at the start of the year?
They've had some impressive wins.
Absolutely not.
Yes.
They almost lost to Old Dominion.
We all know why John thought of it at the start of the year.
No
bias at all. He definitely does not want Fernando Mendoza to be a New York Jet.
Please be a New York Jet. Please.
He's a system quarterback. That system, not what he wants to play for in New Jersey.
Number 4, Texas A&M. Number 5, Ole Miss. Number 6, Bama creeping up 2 spots. Number 7, Texas Tech.
We love to see the Big 12.
Wow. And number 8, Oregon dropping 5 spots after their loss to Indiana at Autzen. Number 9, Georgia. Number 10, LSU. Interesting. Number 11, Tennessee. They are officially out of purgatory. Number 12, Georgia Tech. Number 13, Notre Dame. Number 14, Oklahoma, dropping out 8 spots. Number 15, BYU. Number 16, Mizzou, only dropping 2 after that Bama loss. Number 17, Vanderbilt. Number 18, Virginia. Number 19, USF. We've got 5 new teams in the poll this week. A lot of them are returners, or actually 2 of them are returners. 3 of them are returners.
Team? Oh, my God.
Yep. Number 20, USC. Number 21, Texas. Number 22, Memphis. They're still there. Number 23, Utah is back. Number 24, Cincinnati. And number 25, the Matt Rule led Nebraska Cornhuskers. Matt Rule, head coach of the Nebraska Cornhuskers currently. Matt Rule.
Baylor legend, Matt Rule.
The key word being currently. Also a guy who definitely never coached in the NFL. Definitely never coached in the NFL,
Nope,
right,
and
guys?
He definitely didn't go to school in college at a place in middle Pennsylvania that also has a college
You
football program
definitely coach IUP. You're right.
that is looking for a head coach. Yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on this AP poll? There's a lot of new teams.
I mean, I'm just glad that Texas didn't get overhyped after the Red River rivalry and were put back into the top 25. Other than that, I'm pretty content. USF goes up 5 spots. Congratulations to them. I love USF. I love watching Byron Brown football. I mean, they really, beat the brakes off of North Texas.
Are we not concerned that South Florida's only loss was against the actual valued opponent, and it was not great?
Hey, they beat 2 ranked teams. They beat buddy.
Boise State without Ashton Jeanty.
Yep, they were ranked.
That's like beating up a boxer without legs.
Hey, they beat a ranked team.
FSU was ranked last year, Dom. So let's pump the brakes on this. I think this is the first AP poll I can look at and say, you know what, this is actually a good ranking. This feels pretty right. I feel
Very
like
good.
I don't have any outstanding complaints. I think Utah's a lot better than people are giving them credit for. I think they're doing. I think 23 is a bit too low for them, honestly. And the other thing I complain about is Notre Dame being over Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma's that loss is it's a tough loss to take, but I think it's also I think they're better than their ranking indicates. But I mean, it kind of feels right after a tough loss.
I mean, yeah, and especially in that regard, Notre Dame's losses were very, very, very razor thin close, which I think is why you have that. I think it's a 7-point difference? Yes, 7-point vote difference.
To two top 4 teams now.
Which is, I mean, hey, that's impressive. But I will say, there's going to be a fun game in a couple of weeks, gentlemen, between 2 of these AP poll members. Anybody want to take a guess?
Memphis, USF.
You're correct.
Oh, yeah, the
Memphis
G5.
and USF.
Are we going to do a G5 game for Game of the Week?
Game day, please understand the assignment. Go to Memphis. These environments, these atmospheres are electric. They don't get enough love because of the SEC dominance.
When they went to
just
JMU.
means more. It just means more,
When
right?
they went to JMU, it was
more.
awesome. When they went to JMU a couple years ago, when they went for that App State game, it was a great game.
Corso dressing up as Benjamin Franklin or whatever it was, that was awesome.
See, that was the coolest one, and it had nothing to do with the SEC, and it was great. It was a good game, too, wasn't it?
No,
I
don't
think
give
App
us.
State pulled it out. That was Aguilar, right? I think it was.
Yep, that was Aguilar.
Shout out Tennessee getting out of the purgatory. USC, I think, had a major win at home, at least for the program standards and how they're trying to climb back up into that obvious near top 15, top 10 relevance. It's a great start for them. So
You're just happy Michigan got slammed.
Yep, you're right.
Because I think that game showed a lot because we knew USC was legit. They're just not getting enough attention. We knew Michigan. After how bad Oklahoma beat them and how bad Oklahoma kind of played against Texas, it made Michigan look
No,
significantly
Gabe.
worse.
No, Gabe. You don't understand. The reason they should have never been ranked in the first place is only beat Wisconsin by 14 points.
That's
that should be.
concerning.
You can't touch top 50 if that's the case.
Why don't we just talk about Georgia Tech because the ACC looks like a dumpster.
That's
fire.
just a here placement, honestly.
Yeah, by the way, the fact that Luke Fickell still has a job and James Franklin does not is absolutely appalling in my eyes. I will never understand that.
He's out this year, I think, honestly.
Easily. I would say easily.
When you look at the ACC, Georgia Tech, this is the only way I can describe this. They're 12. They're 6-0. Congratulations. You only beat Virginia Tech by 15. That's not like something that moves you up, and that's why they only moved up 1.
Yeah.
It's like watching a car wreck happen. It's brutal. Everyone's colliding into each other. And Georgia Tech sits that one driver like, oh, this is none of my business. Whoop-de-doo, and they'll drive around it and zoom past everyone. And that's pretty much what they're doing because their only competition is Georgia at the last week.
I mean, the only reason why I said that about USC really quickly is because they're going to South Bend. And if they win that, and then they're also in Nebraska, they have a chance to climb a lot if they keep this up.
I have a short point to make. I like all the new teams. They're fun. I think Cincinnati well deserves
Are
it.
they this year's ASU?
Yeah, they could be.
They could be.
Brendan Sorsby is one of my favorite quarterbacks in college football right now. He's a true dual threat, but he's really fun. The one point that I want to make, Georgia Tech at 12. I get it. I get they beat number 12 Clemson at the time. Clemson are dog water.
What is Clemson right now?
Not.
Hey, have
They're
you
ranked
looked
like negative
They
25th.
almost have the same record as West Virginia.
Yeah, it's bad. What are their quality wins exactly? Clemson, I'm not counting Clemson.
Wake
That
Forest.
Temple.
Ooh, they beat-
Gardner Webb.
Temple.
They beat Wake Forest by 1.
They beat Deion Sanders.
They beat Wake Forest by 1. They beat bad Colorado by 7. And they beat V-Tech last week. Great job. You know who they're only like 20-some points behind in the poll? Tennessee. Yep. the eternal purgatory team that is Tennessee. But do you want to hear who Tennessee has been playing? They lost to Georgia, obviously. Had a tight-knit game at Mississippi State, who is the main upset team so far this year. They're so fun. They beat Syracuse, who's been rolling. And they also beat Arkansas last week.
That's Syracuse with their starting quarterback before he tore his Achilles, or ruptured his Achilles.
Yep, frauds.
Look at Florida's schedule. You want a bad schedule.
Florida's schedule is an absolute gauntlet.
No, it's okay. Don't worry. Billy Napier's going to do his patented win a bunch of games and the year to save his job. So
He's already done that.
It's all right, dude. He's coming to Penn State. And I'm going to hate every second of it. There's a couple on here that I don't agree with necessarily. I don't know how I feel about Nebraska.
I think they deserve it. I think they've earned it.
I mean, I think they deserve it.
I wish they got the Michigan win. That probably do a lot for them.
Is it the Raiola hatred?
Well,
That he looks like
But
Mahomes.
there's not many teams to put at that
Top
25
game.
spot, though, I will say. I mean,
Yeah.
26 is Illinois, and they're coming off a loss. You can't.
Yeah,
I
they're
can
not a
see
top
it.
25 team.
Maryland was undefeated as well, and they were able to
Yeah.
knock them off. So, I mean,
Ooh, they beat Michigan State by 11.
You can't put Texas there either. I mean, might
I
as
think
well
the one's
put
been getting a lot
Nebraska
of
there.
controversy
Yeah.
why they're not ranked is Washington. But
Yeah,
they didn't play that good against Rutgers. So
Yeah,
that's
they
kind of
got
enough.
smacked by
Love their
Ohio State. You're
quarterback.
not giving someone back-to-back losses
Love
in
their
the ranking.
quarterback.
I think Nebraska deserves over
Oh,
them.
they
All right.
weren't ranked.
Let's
They
get-
lost back-to-back games.
Let's get into it. Let's get into the player of the week very quickly. I don't know who you guys are going to say, but I'll go into mine first. This guy was the sole reason that they knocked off number 25 Florida State. I hate that I'm shouting out this guy because I hate this team. Desmond Reed, Pitt's running back. 12 carries for 45 yards, but 8 catches for 155 yards, 2 receiving touchdowns. That was massive. He's a receiving back at its core. Yes, I know I said massive. You know what else? No, I'm not going to get into that.
Shout out Brett Burner.
Yeah. No. But yeah, Desmond Reed. Shout out to him. Not a traditional running back, but Dom, who's yours?
I had to pick this player simply because he helped to end an era in Penn State. I had to go with Northwestern wide receiver Griffin Wild. 7 receptions, 94 yards. That's a 13.5 average and 1 touchdown on the day. He absolutely torched that secondary. He
My words.
embarrassed that. Yeah, we talked about this earlier. I had to give the brief mention as I do hate watching as much as any individual does. But congrats, Griffin Wild, for helping to get Coach Franklin fired.
Yeah, I'm going for running back too. I guess I'm going for more traditional running back guy whose team we are just talking about. I'm going with Emmett Johnson from Nebraska. 176 yards in the ground. He's been very good after contact this year, very good. And pass protection, they allowed 0 pressures on 3 pass block snaps. Just a really sneakily underrated player in the Big Ten. Probably one of the better running backs in the league. Just doesn't get enough talk right now. He's playing great for a ranked team right now, so shout out to him.
I'm going to go with USC Michigan game. I will go with a freshman walk-on, and I think he had a great performance leading USC to this victory. I can't believe I'm saying this, but shout out King Miller. He had a great game, 18 carries, 158 yards, and a touchdown. And if you saw that game, especially for USC, just in those trenches to beat these teams like Michigan, who are usually well known for being really great in the trenches. Obviously, you have to match them, if not outplay them. And I think USC did outplay them, which ended up with that 31-13 victory. So shout out to King Miller.
I'm going to go with it again. Ty Simpson. It was a base stat line. He had just north of 200 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. He is the ultimate. He reminds me so much. He's like the Jared Goff right now of college football. And he's doing everything right. He's winning games, and he's winning opponents. And I think ever since that Florida State game, he's been, by far, in my opinion, the best quarterback in college football.
Yeah, I think there's no question that he's the best quarterback in college football right now. There's a few names that you could put up there. Mendoza comes to mind. Like I was saying, Brendan Sorsby should be up there. Not a lot of national recognition, but now that they're ranked, he should get it. But let's get into our games of the week. We're going with a little bit of a different format this week. We're going to do a little bit of a pick'em segment, and then we're going to go with our main game, which we are going to cover at the end of the pick'em segment. But let's go around the table, give about a sentence or two for these ranked matchups that are going to be very, very nice. We're going to start with one that hits a little close to home, a little Big 12 matchup, Utah versus BYU. We are going with the Joseph Smith off, and it's going to be BYU at home.
So for this game, well, of course, West Virginia has played both of these teams. I'm going to have to go with Utah for this game, as simply their offensive line is great. They're wonderful. What are we
Always
laughing at?
basing who's winning off of who beat West Virginia better.
But both of them, I'm not. Utah has a great offensive line. Devin Tampere is great as well. I mean, I do have to give credit to Bear Bachmeier, of course, but I just feel like this Utah offense is a lot more composed. And I mean, Bear Bachmeier is a good freshman. He has a pretty talented, a good tenure to start his career off in college. But I just feel like this Utah team's offense has more chemistry and is clicking more.
Two teams I feel like are very close together in terms of talent, in terms of just how they've been playing. It's always great when these rivalry games are ranked matchups. I'm taking Utah. I feel like I trust the experience with Dampier over the freshman and Bachmeier, even though he's been playing great recently. You're right about the old line down. Spencer Fano is going to be a top 10 pick in the draft because he's been an elite pass block for a couple of years there. Taking Utah.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Utah as well. I think Devin Dampier's electric. I mean, Bear Bachmeier deserves his flowers, though. He's been incredible. It's been fun to watch BYU this season. I can't even lie. Love the energy. I'm not even going to try to pronounce their head coach's name because I know I'm going to botch it. So, shout out to BYU's head coach. Love their energy there, and Provo. But I think the Utah Utes ultimately get this victory, even though BYU does have some studs on defense.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Utah. I haven't seen enough from BYU to kind of move me. I mean, again, I think of it another Georgia Tech situation. They haven't faced that peak competition. They haven't hit the belly of their schedule yet, and they haven't kind of let the big boys eat yet. And I feel like Utah has gone through the trenches and has faced that, adversity, and I feel like Utah will come out strong.
I'm going to save the graphic here. Let's go with the Cougs. It's going to be a fun one. Obviously, it's going to be the Mormonoff, but 25 carries, 162 yards, and a touchdown, getting them into field goal range so often last game against Arizona. The main reason they won that game, other than Bear Bachmeier's heroics at the end, LJ Martin is a very good running back, 6'2". He's ground and pound, baby, and I don't think this Utah D-line is going to be able to handle this. They have a very good pass rush. John Henry Daly is one of the most prolific pass rushers in college football right now, but I don't think they're going to be able to contain the run from this BYU team. They're going to run it up the gut. So I'm going with the Cougars for that one, but we've got a really fun one. One of my favorite teams in college football against one of the most prolific programs in college football history. This matchup dates back a long time. The Tennessee Volunteers are taking on the Alabama Crimson Tide. It's always a fun one when these two teams play. Let's send it around the table, starting with you, Dom.
I mean, we've been talking about how great these SEC matchups have been all year. I feel like this is going to be another one of those close games. But, I mean, Gabe has shouted out Simpson for 2 weeks in a row for a reason. I feel like Bama's going to get the job done. It's going to be in a close fashion, though. It is going to be a dogfight, but I'm going to have to go with Alabama for this one.
I think Bama's figured it out. I think I'm taking them to win this game. They have the home field, which is always big in the SEC matchups. They're just a different team when Jen Miller's healthy and playing. He was out early in the year, and that kind of hurt him against FSU. Ty Simpson really came around as being one of the better quarterbacks in college football. He's a lot like A.J. McCarron, being kind of talking about kind of that same mold. So I'm taking Bama here. I think they've kind of gotten back on track to where they should be after a tough couple of years.
Yeah, the addition of having Jan Miller back in this offense I think is huge for Alabama. Ty Simpson almost feeling, as we've liked to call it here, almost that A.J. McCarron role for Alabama. I mean, they've been electric. I think Bama has stepped up to their competition so far. I mean, the Missouri win I think was impressive, obviously winning against Vandy and Georgia just for their past 3 games. Tennessee has had those struggles, almost losing a couple of games between Mississippi State, Arkansas, and having that loss earlier to Georgia in the year. I'm going to have to go with Alabama here. I think Ty Simpson has one of those performances, high completion percentage, getting the job done. Only 1 interception so far this season, but Joey Aguilar and Tennessee keep it close.
Yeah, I also got Alabama. You're versing a matchup kind of imbalance for me. Tennessee, my track coach actually went to Tennessee the last week to watch the Arkansas game. He said it was a great environment. But I feel like this is Ty Simpson's game. Tennessee plays a lot of laid-back zone, and it's a Joe Witt special. And it costs a lot in the defense. You've seen the scores. And I think Ty Simpson and the wide receivers and Bernard and Ryan Williams, the speed and the short route running ability, it's just going to be too much for Tennessee to come back from.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to save the graphic this time. This Tennessee team's pretty banged up. This secondary for Tennessee, fully healthy, is one of, if not the best secondary group in college football. They're missing a major piece. They've been doing all right so far this year without him. Jermod McCoy, who should be a first-round pick when he's healthy.
He's a preseason All-American.
Yeah, he
hasn't
is
played a game.
so good. He was so good last year. They're really missing him this year, but Tennessee's offense is humming, and it's not going to stop humming. Chris Brazzell is one of the best, if not the best, jump ball receivers in the nation. Joey Aguilar loves throwing deep to him, but Bray Hubbard is going to lock down that Tennessee passing attack. He is so good, and he's doing so much for our people. He's like another Riley Moss, but if he was actually good at football. I'm going to go with Alabama in this one, sadly, but Ty Simpson and this Alabama Crimson Tide team are just going to roll. It's at Bryant Denny. I can't really go pick against the Tide there. If it was at Neyland, bit of a different story, but I'm going to go with the Tide in that one. 2 more games to go before we get to our main game, Notre Dame versus USC. We don't have resident Notre Dame fan Matt Foley on for this one, but I want to hear your guys' thoughts on a really, really fun matchup of what should be 2 Big Ten teams, right?
Yeah, I mean, this Notre Dame team has been kind of shaky all year. I mean, you walk in, I think it was the first week that they played Miami, and they embarrassed themselves there. And, I mean, they had a lot that changed. Jeremiah Love hasn't really, at the beginning of the season, didn't really find his footing. And it's just, I'm going to have to go with USC here. They seem like they're the hotter team right now. You have Jaden Maiava, who we have, of course, voted for nominated as one of our NAP poll players, as deserving as he has played. You do have just a lot of changes for Notre Dame. CJ Carr, he's a freshman. He's going under a lot of changes. It is going to be a close game, but I'm going to have to go with USC here. I just feel like they have more traction going right now for them. A lot is on the table, though, for both of these teams, specifically Notre Dame. I don't even know how they made it back in. I know how they made it back into the rankings, but still.
It's going to be a shootout. Both of these teams score a lot of points. Most of the teams got pretty good quarterbacks. CJ Carr's playing good football. I'm taking Notre Dame. Their offense has been humming of late. They have a great running back duo right there. However, they did just lose their starting center for the year. So that's a bit concerning on the offensive line. Always seeing those trench players go down can always hurt a team a lot. But I think they'll bounce back from it. I also think they know their back's against the wall because a third loss would definitively knock them out of CFP contention right here. I'm taking Notre Dame to win this game in a close one.
Yeah, this is going to be a close game, I think, regardless of who wins. Obviously, with C.J. Carr, I think he's been playing really good so far for the role he's been put in. Obviously, Jeremiah Love doing his things on the ground. But history's meant to change in South Bend on October 18th. I think USC gets the job done. That momentum for them getting in, I think, was a huge reason why I'm picking this, even though for Notre Dame, most of the day I was thinking, you know what, I'm going to go Notre Dame. I think they're going to get the job done. But I don't know. It's an itch. Something's getting at me to pick Maiava in USC, so I'm going to pick them. Wayman Jordan, obviously having 5 touchdowns on the year and 576 rushing yards. It also helps me have a weapon also in the receiving game with Mekhi Lemon. So I'm going to go with the USC Trojans in a very, very close game.
Yeah, I think this, for me, is the closest game on here. It's the one I'm most excited about. I think Jeremiah Love, his stats are a bit inflated, in my opinion. He had that one really good game, and it's kind of helped his box score a little bit. But I look at USC, and I see 2 players that really stand out to me. And, of course, it's Maiava and Lemon. Lemon might be the best wide receiver in the class. He might be a first-round pick, but there's something about this Notre Dame team which I can't root against them. Maybe it's USC's defense being inconsistent, Notre Dame's offense being a consistent threshold in their game. But I just, for some reason, want to go with the Fighting Irish.
I'm going to stick with the opinion that I've kept throughout this year. This USC offense is so fun, and I think they're going to pull it off in South Bend. Wayman Jordan is a really good running back. I think he's going to take a lot of pressure off of Maiava in this game, which he doesn't really need to have pressure taken off of him. He's built for this kind of moment. But Mekhi Lemon is a really prolific receiver. I do agree that Jeremiah Love has – I wanted to say Jordan Love for a second. Wow. Jeremiah Love has kind of got his stats inflated. He hasn't really had a good year. I feel like a lot of people thought he was going to be another Genty this year. I thought he was going to break out majorly this year. But I think it's going to be the Trojans in this one, rolling into South Bend, getting the dub. But before we go into our main game, which I think we'll just do kind of a pick 'em for that one too, but LSU Vandy. is going to be a fun one. These Tigers have been on a bit of a slide, and I wonder if Diego Pavia is going to be practicing his kneeling or actually practicing football moves.
I was just about to mention the kneeling incident, and I really, before that, I really enjoyed the character of Diego Pavia. I was hoping that they were going to get the win against Alabama, but unfortunately, they weren't able to get the job done, and I think it's kind of ironic and deserving that if you're practicing victory formation before the game that you very much deserve to lose that game, as that's kind of cocky in my opinion. But I'm going to, I'm going to have to choose Vanderbilt for this one. I feel like Garrett Nussmeier in himself hasn't been, we've kind of appraised him as this quarterback that's going to be in the top 10 since week 1 in the NFL draft, and he hasn't had that competency that all of us thought that he had. Same with Cade Klubnik, but I don't know. I feel like Vanderbilt upsets LSU in this one. Go Commodores.
Yeah, LSU's probably very happy that Clemson and Penn State exist, because if they didn't exist, they'd be getting a lot more conversation right now about a potential fraud, because this team does not win games by a lot. They'll only beat South Carolina by 10, only beat Florida by 10 despite forcing 5 picks on DJ Lagway. However, I do think their defense is good, and even though their offense has been slow, I think you're going to take this one in the defensive slugfest. And it's a close game. I wanted to go Vandy, but the LSU defense is real, and I think that'll help them pull out a win here.
Yeah, that LSU defense is legit, and considering their only loss of the season was a very close loss in Ole Miss against a really high-flying Ole Miss squad, I'm going to go with LSU here. ESPN thinks otherwise, 60% for Vandy, which I think is interesting. To me, it might be just solely due to the fact that they are the home team here. So, I guess obviously it has that aspect of it. Vandy has a good environment, and obviously with Diego Pavia and what he's been doing this season. But I'm going to go with LSU. I just think overall the defense is what will lead them, and then the offense will slowly put points on the board. So I'm going to have to go with the Tigers.
Yeah, I'm going to with Vandy. I feel like LSU, I wouldn't say quite frauds, but they're not winning. And if you actually watch LSU's game, Grant Nussmeier looks awful. You're talking about the number 1 quarterback coming into the year, the number 1 Heisman preseason watch, preseason All-American, all this, all that. He looks awful. He's underthrowing by at least 5 to 10 yards every time I see him. He's overthrowing in clean pockets. He doesn't look poised. It's all over the place. And you know what Vandy's going to do. They're going to run the ball with their high-end quarterback. They got an elite tight end. You're looking at a team that has a very good inside linebacker, but that sadly won't be a first-round pick because of an ACL injury and he's old. But I think that it's just Vandy's game.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go with LSU in this one. I have them. Yeah, let's have LSU win the graphic for this one. This LSU defense, I think their linebacker core is what's going to set them apart in this game. Harold Perkins and Whit Weeks are going to wreak havoc on that Vanderbilt backfield. It's going to be a fun one. I think it's going to be very low scoring. Like you were saying, LSU's gotten off to a really slow offensive start. I don't trust Garrett Nussmeier anymore. I don't think he's that prolific of a quarterback, but it's going to be like a 23-13 in my opinion. But I've got the Tigers winning that one. Go Tigers! But the main game that we're going to go into, we can just do a pick'em for this, but we had to save this one for last. Save the best for last. 2 very well-known head coaches are going to be duking it out in Athens, Georgia this weekend. We've got the Georgia Bulldogs hosting the high-flying D2 quarterback run Ole Miss Rebels. It's going to be a fun one. I think you guys know where I'm going to go with this one, hotty toddy, but I want to hear what you guys say for this game.
Now, I wanted to give a fun fact. This is the first time in 5 weeks that Ole Miss has been on the road, going to Georgia, of course. But I'm going to have to also go with Ole Miss. You talk about Trinidad Chambliss. He ranks first in the SEC in passing yards. He has passed for, and with these stats, he's passed usually for more than 250 yards per game. Wow. D2 champion. It just shows. He's got the resume. Slap that on a LinkedIn. It looks great. But he averages about 15 yards per pass. And it's also good to mention their running back. This offense is loaded. You have Kejuan Lacey. He ranks second in the SEC in rushing yards with 587 on the season total. And, he's found the end zone around 8 times. So this offense, it's stacked. It looks great. And quick shout out to Luke Haas. He's made some contributions to this season so far. If you don't remember him from, I think it was season 2, like episode 3
last
or 4.
year.
Yeah, go back and check that out. But, he's made some contributions. But go Ole Miss. I feel like they have this one.
2 teams that aren't really sad the fan base aren't really sad right now, but they could be happier. I mean, Ole Miss has almost lost to Wazoo in a close game. They've barely pulled out. They're playing a tough schedule after this. After Georgia, they get Oklahoma, and then South Carolina is always a tough team, the Brusco bus. But Georgia, on the other hand, they have been an incredibly slow starting team. They've been outscored 3 of their last 4 quarters, which is not good football, especially against a team like Ole Miss, who has, obviously, we all know Trinidad Chambers, we all know Kuhn Lacey being very good players in the offensive side, but their pass defense has been really good this year. Top 10 in yards per pass allowed, and that means not letting up many explosive plays through the air. Obviously, we all know how good Trinidad Chambers is. I'm not going to touch them much because I know you guys will. I'm going to take Georgia here. I think they're going to pull out a close one. They want revenge for last year. I think they're going to get it done with Kirby Smart at the helm and Gunnar Stockton under center.
Yeah, this game's very interesting because both of these teams, Ole Miss and Georgia, are coming off pretty shaky results. And I mean, for Georgia, arguably, you could argue whose is worse, but I think now it's coming into this week. Obviously, I think Georgia having home field is huge because if this was in Ole Miss, I would go with Hottie Toddy here, and I wouldn't even question it. But obviously, it's that Sanford Stadium home environment. I think both teams are coming off shaky. But if Georgia does want to win this game, you need to get a rushing attack involved, man. I mean, Gunnar Stockton led the team with 26 on the ground, and I think obviously, especially we talked about this Cash Jones usage. Let's try to tone it down a little bit, and I think. Georgia offensive coordinator Mike Bobo will get that running game slowly involved. Dom, I figured you'd like that one. So don't make Gunnar Stockton throw 40 times. And I think if Georgia just handles the home environment, make Trinidad make mistakes early, I think they can come out with this one.
See Jake Bobo's cousin?
Probably not.
I doubt it.
Oh, I'll have to Google that.
I think Chambliss is one of the greatest stories in college football. I think he's one of the best college football has to offer. Just I thought that over. I had to go with Georgia. It's coaching for me. I really, really, really trust Kobe Smart in these top end situations. And Ole Miss hasn't voiced a high quality ranked team in a while. I feel like they have to kind of get into that area of this is going to be probably the toughest matchup. And Georgia right now for me has not had the best of seasons, and they're gonna have a game plan to go out there and really just dominate with their defense.
Yeah, I was torn at the start because I love Georgia defenses. They produce so much talent for the NFL. We've seen it with the Eagles, obviously. It's basically Georgia Eagles. But one player I want to highlight for that Georgia defense is C.J. Allen. That guy is going to be one of the best mics in the NFL when he gets fully developed. This guy is ridiculous. 46 total tackles, 3 sacks, 3 passes defended, 2 forced fumbles, and a fumble recovery, alongside 4.5 TFLs and 6 run stops so far this year. This guy was getting overshadowed last year by Jalen Walker because Jalen Walker was the main linebacker in that Georgia system, but he's got a high vertical jump. Count on this. He's currently mocked to be a late first-rounder. He'll be a lottery pick. I guarantee you that. This guy is ridiculous, obviously unless he gets injured or anything like that. But still, nonetheless, Georgia's offense has not been able to find their legs so far this year, and that's something that Ole Miss has done very early. Trinidad Chambliss currently has more passing yards than Gunnar Stockton with 2 less games played. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I need to mention something real quick because this is absolutely unreal what I just came upon. So, obviously, the Mike and Jake Bobo connection, right? Funny fact, they are not related, but Mike Bobo also has a son named Jake.
There's 2.
But they're not related.
There's 2 Jake Bobos, and they're not related.
That is absolutely unreal.
There can only be one Jake Bobo.
There's only one.
And he is on the Seattle Seahawks, along with Myles Gaskin now. Fun fact.
Wow.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, I'm still going to go with Ole Miss in this one. It could go either way. I think it's going to be a close one. These SEC matchups have been phenomenal so far this year. They've all been one score. It's been great to watch, but I'm going to go Hottie Toddy in this one. I think the offense just gets it done for him. Chambliss has been rolling, and same with Kewan Lacey. Nice shout, Dom. But I don't even know if we need to get into NFL right now. There wasn't really a whole lot going on.
Brian Callahan got fired.
The only thing that we really need to talk about is Brian Callahan. The Tennessee Titans have fired Brian Callahan after, I believe this is his 2nd season. We all know John's take last week saying
worst take I've ever had on this podcast. That's saying something.
That aged like milk. Yeah, there's been worse.
Probably been worse. But that was I mean, I got fired 5 days after.
Saying that Matt Stafford was better than Josh Allen when Josh Allen had 6 total touchdowns.
Including one to himself.
That was on a promo.
Yep, that is fun.
That is on a promo. Put that on a T-shirt. But other than that, not a whole lot of news in the NFL. Fred Warner is out for the year. That's a big one for the Niners. Rico Dowdle had back-to-back 200-plus total scrimmage yard games. That guy's legit.
Haven't seen that since J.J.
Yeah. Evan McPherson got robbed of a NFL longest field goal because of a refereeing call. And
They
then
called a timeout like 5 seconds before he kicked it.
I'm just going to say he got robbed because I'm a Bengals fan.
And the Jets
How
are
do you make it the second time then?
and the Jets and Broncos played the worst game in NFL history.
Yeah.
No, they didn't.
It's every
I
year.
was,
No, they didn't.
I was just about to say the Patriots hold the top spot in the AFC East for the first time since 2019.
Drake May.
They're
baby.
back.
Oh no, not again.
They're
The
back.
top 4 teams in the AFC right now are the same exact top 4 teams of 2007.
Who's that?
Colts, Steelers, Patriots, and I'm missing one.
Chargers.
Chargers, yes.
What a
Wow.
quarterback. We went
Wow.
from Philip
Wow.
Rivers to Justin Herbert, Tom Brady to Drake May, Ben Roethlisberger to Aaron Rodgers, and Peyton Manning to Daniel Jones.
With like
Yeah.
6 guys in between who all kind
Yeah.
of just existed besides Andrew Luck.
Yeah.
A fun fact about Mike Vrabel. Guess who they play next week?
The
The
Titans.
Tennessee
Titans.
Titans. Him and Drake May. And also, please get better, Mecca Buka. You're so good at football, and I love seeing you this season.
And a
Please.
It's just a hammy. He'll be fine.
fun fact about Rico Dowdle, and RJ found this per Adam Schefter. He's had these back-to-back games he's had with over 230-something yards. He's the sixth to do this since the Super Bowl era. The last to do this was 2020 Dalvin Cook, and before that, 2016 Le'Veon Bell.
Wow.
And he plays the Jets next week. He's going to get 300 this time.
Yeah.
You might.
Well, that was probably the revenge game tax against
It's
Dallas.
a seatbelt game.
Also, shout out to Dom's podcast, Waiver Tango. There's a player that was mentioned on that just visited the Commanders. It's Traylon Burks.
Oh.
Have
Oh,
fun, buddy.
I forgot we did that. We need defensive help. I thought Von Miller died on the field. He just...
Can
he needs
Traylon
to
Burks
die.
play sub linebacker? I guess we'll find out in the next episode of Stirring the Pot that will be coming out next week. We will have the consistent uploads as usual. We might have a little fun one coming towards you in a little bit. We will be talking about that. But as always, guys, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Stirring the Pot. That was a little cheesy way to end it, but you know what? It's October. It's fine. We're talking about football. It's all that matters.
The October Scaries episode under an hour.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Let's go. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. Peace out. See y'all.
Fluff Buffalo is awesome.